Greetings, everyone. Thank you for being here for another episode of the EdibleSpirit Hour. We are so honored by your presence, so honored to have you with us today. Thank you. As you know, or if you're just tuning in for the first time, we want you to know that this is a space that is dedicated to healers and healing, of which we are all potentially healers and all potentially healing. Hi, everyone. Thank you for creating this community with us and for bringing your light to this space and sharing in the light that we create together through these sacred connections that we share. We love to start each show with the FME update, in which we share a few things with you, in which we share delicious, let's see, shall we do astrology first, or let's do let's do the recipe first, okay? So this is something that we created this week because we've just finally blessedly landed in a new home, in a new space. And we have, where is it? Is this it? We have this delicious, oh dear. Okay, wait. Well, we're going to talk about the astrology first while I pull up this wonderful recipe. The astrology of this moment is that we had a new moon on the 16th, right? This just a couple days ago on Friday. The new moon is in the sign of Libra. This is an opportunity to set intentions about balance and harmony and diplomacy, fairness. There's also so much else that's going on in the sky, including Mercury retrograde in Scorpio, which is like taking our mind deeply within ourselves, and through issues, like through communication issues and travel issues and digital issues and this issue and that issue, getting us, encouraging us to look deeply within at the darkness within us, at the fears within us, at the sort of detached or underloved aspects of our being that contain great power and great medicine and great healing in them. And one could even argue that the whole of the healing process, and even the whole of the healing process that the United States and the whole world is going through a process of retrieving all of the underloved aspects of our shared identity, and looking into the darkness, into the shady ass actions that we have committed and perpetuated for generations, in order to make peace and transmute and take that obscurity and divinize it and bring it into the light. And along with that, to seek justice, right? Balance, fairness. So that's what's cool about the Mercury retrograde, is that Mercury retrograde takes us deep within, but then Mercury retrogrades all the way back into Libra, right? And then it goes direct on November 3rd. So we get this deep sort of plumbing of our unconscious and underconscious and underloved depths that then boop, like goes back into Libra and gets us to come up with some questions and answers, and maybe even eventually solutions about how to find balance based on what we've just come through in Mercury retrograde. And that shift occurs around the 27th of October, and then Mercury goes direct on November 3rd. So expect to learn a lot of difficult stuff between now and the 27th, and face a lot of fears and face a lot of underloved aspects of your being. But then once we get to the 27th, expect to get a little insight about what can be done, or what can be embodied, or what can be radiated in order to cultivate more balance. And then once Mercury goes direct, November 3rd, it's like there's a little more pep in your step, and it becomes easier to actually do some of these things, to apply some of these diplomatic theories or balancing intentions to whatever you've exhumed from the depths of your Scorpionic Mercury retrograde journeys. And then also in the skies, big time Mars retrograde has been happening since September 9th or so, and it continues being retrograde until November 13th. So November 3rd happens. That's one big burst of juge. And then we get to November 13th, and Mars, the planet of passion and energy and intensity and accomplishment and desire and drive and aggression and anger and all those things, right? If you've been feeling like all of those things are kind of coming at you, Mars retrograde is trying to teach you how to draw on a balanced and let's just say like appropriately calibrated use of force, right? An appropriately calibrated use of penetration, of forward motion, of I'm gonna get what I want to get, right? It's like that's the Mars kind of impulse, but Mars gone crazy just does what it wants and doesn't integrate any of this other information. But Mars retrograde is sort of causing anger, frustration, even a lack of vitality. Itchiness is what we've been talking about so much, like itchiness coming from Mars retrograde. So as to like make us physically uncomfortable, Mercury's making us mentally uncomfortable. And then when Mars goes direct, when Mercury goes direct, it's like, oh, I have some more clarity about what to adjust based on the fears that I faced in my mind. But when Mars goes direct, you get some mojo behind your dojo, right? You get a lot more force and a lot more passion and a lot more vitality and a lot more energy to do and to take the actions that are necessary, right? And the astrology of Election Day and the inauguration is insane. We're not a skilled enough astrologer to even begin cracking that egg open here, but suffice to say it gets crazy. So you're gonna wanna face your fears, you're gonna wanna seek balance, you're gonna wanna learn what your fears are and learn how to maybe approach balance, and then apply what you've learned to the best of your abilities, especially on November 3rd, and then especially on November 13th, if you are compelled to walk safely or go safely somewhere because you are needed there, that would be a great time to actually do that safely, of course. Okay, thank you. Okay, so wanted to show you, let's see if we can do this. I think we can manage this right now. I think I can do this very quickly for you. I want to share this one little guy from my, let's see, can we do it? Of course, Mercury retrograde. Bear with us with this Merc. This one little recetita, and then we're going to bring our amazing guest on. Oh gosh, so excited. Okay, is this working? This is working. Here we go. Bing, bang, boom. Okay, here we go. So we're going to share this with you. Oh, and okay, so we have Edgar Fabián Frías is coming on the show tonight. They are an incredible artist, an incredible Brujx, just powerful, powerful being. We will be taking callers. We will be taking questions after we have a chat together a little bit later in the hour. If you want to get a reading, if you have a question for Edible Spirit or for Edgar, you are very welcome to join the Zoom room. The link to the Zoom room is on Instagram.com. It's on Instagram at EdibleSpirit, but you can find it through your web. If you go Instagram.com/EdibleSpirit, click the link in the bio, and there's a link that will take you to the Zoom room. Okay. And then meantime, here we go. Okay, we're going to share this with you. And let's see. Okay, this is not totally glamorous, but you get the idea. Cooked in the new house is a Japanese vegan curry rice using curry powder, water, but then sliced carrots, grated parsnips, sliced carrots, sliced parsnips, grated butternut squash, a whole butternut squash grated, onions chopped up with a butter knife, because I don't have a knife yet. So I chopped up the onions with a butter knife, cooked them in a little bit of butter, added the curry. Okay, so basically what we're sharing with you here is this recipe for a vegan curry that was made because we are blessedly and safely in a new home in upstate New York after being nomadic on the road for more than a year and a half. We finally landed in this safe space and didn't have any knives, so ended up having to make a veggie curry, the first meal cooked in this house. Sacred, right? Opened up the space, opened up the kitchen, beautiful portal that you'll be getting lots more yumminess from as time goes on, from this space. And we actually had to use a butter knife to chop we used the slicer attachment on the side of the cheese grater, because I happen to have a cheese grater, and then shredded an entire butternut squash, sliced a bunch of carrots and parsnips, and then had a couple little onions. And so basically sauteed the onions, added a bunch of curry powder and these McCormick seasoning blends, which we feel great about. Montreal steak seasoning, right? You don't have to put it on steak. You can put it on anything. It's got everything you want in it. But this, we actually used curry powder that we had just from the grocery store at some point. Nothing too special. And then this chipotle and roasted garlic seasoning blend in those sauteed onions, because that sort of toasts the spices and gets the flavors to open up. And then just literally added all of those vegetables in. The thinly shaved parsnips and carrots, the the grated butternut squash, and then cooked the whole thing down for probably, 45 minutes to an hour until it got kind of mush. You don't want to add too much water because you want it to get a little unctuous and kind of, creamy, without having to add any cream to it. And yet, what was really wild about it was that it actually needed salt, extra salt and rice vinegar added at the very end, because these vegetables in this time of the harvest were so sweet. It was crazy. Parsnips, carrots, and squash are all very sweet, all very orange. This house is yellow. One of our tutelary deities loves yellow and orange and squash and all this stuff. So we felt like it was an appropriate gift to offer. And we offer this to you, from our first night in this house. So sharing this recipe with you so as to encourage warmth and safety and security with you and all of yours in your spaces. Okay, thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, so let's go. Okay, so we have Edgar, Fabián Frías is on the show tonight. We're gonna bring them in to the room in now. I want to stop mirroring this. Okay, great. Here we go. We're gonna bring in Edgar.
Hey.
Hi, Angel.
So blessed to be here.
Now, I just saw these. Wait, and I remember this. Okay, so Edgar is a profoundly visionary healing artist who has a history of divination and using plant medicine and all of these things. But the thing that got us hooked on Edgar's work was their artwork, these beautiful, amazing things that they create. So I just would love to show the children assembled. If you don't know Edgar's work already, I want to show you just a little something. Where is it? Okay, so this is really cool, Edgar. This one was from Tulsa, right?
Yeah.
From your Tulsa, and it's nuestras antepasadas nos hablan directamente, right? Our ancestors speak directly with us. So this is very Edgar. Are those deer? Are they elk? What's behind you?
Yeah, it's deer. Deer behind me, and then there's some cacti and some maize, some elote or corn, and some hikuri or peyote, sacred medicine in the center.
Oh, that's right in the middle. That's what that is. Wow. Okay. So there's one. And then I also want to share this one because it's really cool. And I see that you have some of these behind you. The Nierica Santuario Somatico from 2020. This is a beautiful example of the immersive nature of Edgar's work. You can see a little a video installation happening. Also, these massive prints. Are those like silk screens or what? These hanging back here?
They're actually shower curtains.
Yes. Okay. So then we have the shower curtains with those incredible images on them. And then these are some of my favorite. Also, anytime you feature an alien in your work. Oh, and there's your billboard in the back.
Yeah, it's another version of that billboard, actually.
Okay, cool. So I basically just wanted to share this with everyone watching so that they could get a little taste of what your work actually looks like. But I mean, we like to say in this first segment, how are you healing, right? And I want to know what your healing practice is like, what you do for self-care. But first of all, do you feel that the work that you create, is there a healing intention behind it? Or what's the spirit in which it's offered? How does media and mixed media play into that? I would just love to hear you tell us something about your practice.
Yeah. Well, first off, it's such a blessing and honor and gift to be here and to be able to connect with you and to be in this beautiful healing space. I can feel your intention of crafting this sacred space for us to be in together, just kind of surrounding me with love. So I'm just really appreciating that right now. And I would just say, I'm someone who loves to traverse different realms. And my people, the Vidarica in Mexico, they see art and healing and rituals, ceremony, all as kind of part of the same practice in many ways. And for myself, I feel art has healed me in so many ways. It's transformed my consciousness. It's helped me find community and friends, and also helped me create a narrative out of this existence that has been really empowering and transformative. And so I love to offer that to other people, that space of contemplation, of curiosity, of play, of confusion too, because I feel like I work with all these energies, and they're energies that I've been gifted with also through other artists, other healers, other mediums who've also provided these moments of contemplation and confusion and clarity and respite too. Yeah, so I think that's something that's been really exciting for myself, of being able to actually work in creating installations and spaces where I can invite in plant spirits, plant essences, because for that show with Nirika Santuario Somatico, we created an aura spray that the community came together that night, and it was about at least 30 people in ceremony, and we set intention into the aura spray and then put that spray back into the gallery, and people were able to connect with that as they connected with the work as well.
So tangible and so tactile and so deeply experiential. And I wonder too, I love the idea of liminality, right? And yes, the idea of liminality is a space between, and as you said, a space that you thoroughly enjoy traversing, right? But I heard a definition of liminality ages ago that was very inspiring to me, that it was the moment within ceremony, right? The liminal space within ceremony when who you were before the ritual began ceases to be relevant, and who you will be after the ritual is over has also not yet arrived, right? And that it's this that it sort of refers to ritual then as a portal, right? And that when you walk through, it's almost like that Stargate where your cells have to kind of dissolve in order to be reintegrated with more space. What is your talk to me about portals a little bit, because I know you use the word a lot. How do you understand the portals, and how do you create portals? What are the different ways that you create portals?
Yeah. So the way I got into art practice was when I was a young person, around 14. I was taken to the Los Angeles County Museum of Art, and it was my first experience of seeing an art piece, or just contemporary art in general.
Mhm.
And there was a piece that, I stood in front of, and this piece of art immediately put me into an altered state of consciousness. And I had this moment of, it was deep confusion and excitement and fear of like, what am I looking at? And to me that, I see art as being able to be imbued with energy, and, you can, create a spell, or you can create an intention into an art piece and create a portal and kind of have an energy emanate. And I feel like the artists who created that piece that worked on me had an intention that they put into their piece. And so I feel like I love your definition of the liminal space, of a place where you are honoring what was, what is, and what will be, right? You're kind of creating that like link between time and space. And that for me is a big part of ceremony, is you open up this sacred memory, the sacred, the sacred resonance of ritual and ceremony that's existed on this planet, between humans and other kin. And, being in that liminal space, you're able to really be in communion. And to me, that's something that I think can be done in so many different ways. Can be done through therapy work, through sacred dance, through performance, through celebration, through play. And I feel like I love exploring all those realms, and finding ways for my work kind of to exist in all those spaces, and also to subvert some of those spaces and kind of push on the boundaries of the different places that I exist within, as a licensed psychotherapist, and also as a Brujx and as an artist. So kind of finding ways that I can kind of push and explore these maybe unseen boundaries.
It's really something that's exciting, because I know you have a background that you've studied and you are a therapist, right? And that, your work is so joyful and so exciting. But there's two things that I just want to shout out. That, my love, you're an academic. Like somebody's going to UC Berkeley, right? Like, are you already a part of that program? Have you started your studies there yet?
Yeah, I'm in the middle of my first semester in the UC Berkeley MFA art practice program. Yeah, and it's been such a gift. I feel so honored to be selected to be in the program and to be working with the cohort that I'm with. Such an incredible group of folks there.
I just feel like it's important, because like, one of the things I'm loving about getting to do this show with people is that we get to, like you just said, subvert all sorts of expectations. And I have to admit, like, I see your work and I'm like, wow, they're magic. Okay, they're an academic as well, honey. Like, I think that's really important. And then the other side of it is, you artist, psychotherapist, curator, educator, and Brujx, right? So many beautiful things in this description. But I some of the stuff that I love about you the most is how punk you can be, how revolutionary you can be. And I think that sometimes, spiritual beings like yourself, or spiritual beings like anybody, can sometimes become a little milquetoast and a little bland across the board, and a little like, I want to be polite because I need to keep my job at the yoga studio or whatever, and I just want to say, like, I see your punk anarchists and I love them. I'm obsessed with them. And I just want to share one more thing with everybody here, which is, where is it? It's just a little bit of stuff from the Insta. Give it to me, baby. Okay, here we go. So here's a great one. Goddess made that block button for a reason. Okay.
Praise.
And praise Goddess for boundaries. Just a reminder, if you come onto my platform to berate my friends or attack me, you will be immediately screenshot, reported, and blocked. Bye. Okay, love that. Okay. In addition, my existence is medicine for our world. And I love this because, like, this could be a flex for the gram, right? My existence is medicine for our world, but also you put at the beginning of this post is a spell, este post es un hechizo, right? Know that your medicine, that your very existence is medicine for someone. So I just think this is a great example of how your work kind of cracks the skull open, cracks the heart open, and inspires. But hang on, we're getting to the punk. Okay, we are forging them sanctuaries. This is so good. These are the alien spells that I love the most. And so my understanding too, right, that you're pumping the feed full of light and full of your work, but also this very particular medicine that you're bringing out. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, thank you for mirroring back the punk and the radical and the anarchist. Because yeah, I think in many ways, like I do come from like an anarchist DIY background, and I love being able to bring some of that ethos. And also, I think my art practice is a place where I channel and transmute and transform and process a lot of my anger and sadness and a lot of the emotions that have been coming up, I feel, in the last few months, you know, or just in general, because I feel like my art practice is that space to be able to transform it and work with it, which is why I feel like I sometimes come up with these, and I think
has a plan, and that plan is abolish the police. They are on the record channeling the Goddess, because that's what I mean. It's like, duh, obviously Goddess does not want anybody being murdered for no good reason, or for these structures of, you know, it reminds me of Alok, right? Alok was saying, oh, your cis white tears are not helping me. This is not helping. This is not helping anybody. So I love, there's one more, hold on, that's right here too. That is banish all colonial notions of legitimacy, right? This one really spoke to me, and I saw it around this moment where it was occurring to me that even the idea of thriving is a white supremacist structure. The idea that we should all be on our A game, you know, living our best lives, thriving, doing X, Y, and Z, like, not to say that we shouldn't be able to thrive, but just that this concept of thriving, the way you're saying it here, colonialist notions of legitimacy, right? Thriving means you have to stand on someone else's neck in the old systems, you know, unfortunately. So maybe, so I love this, because I was going to ask you something about how does deprogramming or reprogramming play a role in your work? You know, and I want to know that, but I also want to say, it sounds like you're doing, like, this is good medicine for you. And this is also even a good example of Mars retrograde energy, that when anger boils up and when rage boils up, if it doesn't get directed somewhere, it can sort of double back and lead to other kinds of violence or other kinds of purges, you know, other kinds of expression that maybe aren't healing portals of spells, you know. So I just wanted to share that, but then I do really want to know, you know, how does this deprogramming or decolonializing or reprogramming play into your work?
Yeah, it's a big part of my practice is, you know, I think part of being a therapist, I really learned to understand and study the narratives that I hold within myself and the ways that this system, this colonialist system, has created certain narratives inside of me that I think I've been working really hard in therapy, in my art practice, in my healing practices to deprogram and uninstall, you know, or to repurpose and recreate. And I see art as having that power because art is also what's kind of programmed those things in the beginning to, you know, I think media is used very much, media being all the way from like a textbook at school to something you watch on television or a song you hear. And, you know, there are a lot of witches that I'm really excited who are working with media in this way to, as you're naming, channel that rage, channel the intuition, to move it and guide it and support it in its unfolding, and also to offer alternatives, knowing that, you know, one response is to destroy a police car and or to burn down a bank, and another response is to create a piece that will elicit conversation or that will guide someone towards an expression or an emotion that will maybe support them in dissolving some calcified structures or some like stagnant structures within their own consciousness. And I think that's part of even, some of the posts that you shared is, as my platform has grown, as my work has been shared by more and more people, I have started to receive a lot of praise and connect with people from all over the world. And I've also started to receive a lot of hate messages and people who are really angry and upset by the things that I'm posting. And and some of them do attack my friends or and try to insult people that come on my platform and to leave me a positive comment. And so I think, just setting those boundaries for myself has been really helpful. And I've definitely noticed that it's supported in many ways of clearing the space and letting people know where I stand. And but I think part of that is, it's moving energy. And I feel like art and spiritual practice move energy. They work with energy, they guide it. And so I see my art practice in that way as well.
And I feel like it's a great example, something we try to live by is, am I making the most loving choices possible? And I see healing as a proposition in refining those choices so that we are ever more in alignment with the new aspects of our being that are showing up to be loved all the time. So it's like an ongoing process of refinement leading to sustained loving choices. And I think, that sometimes you need to tell people what the goddess thinks about their actions, because in a way, it's kind of as long as it's coming from the most loving place, you might actually, without interrupting their karma, be helping them to see that they're just accruing more and more karma, which is making them more and more miserable because they're taking these insane actions that have nothing to do with love. So I just like this idea of sometimes you have to love fiercely and sometimes you have to scream when you're loving. And sometimes, people think that lighting a car on fire is the most loving action that they can take because they feel that they've had all their other actions taken away from them. And yet at the same time, with these haters that are coming for you in various places and coming for all sorts of people that are putting themselves out there like this, I just personally believe it's because the calcified structure is crumbling or the energies are moving in a certain way. And definitely. I think kind of see this all around now, that the stress and the anger and just the manipulation that is occurring is really grasping at, the sinking boat as it's going down, so, okay, I want to ask you another question, but I want to share and do a little bit of an AuraPic with you, because this is something that we do with clients, we do privately, we also do group AuraPics, that are these beautiful digital spaces that we get to create, because we're really passionate, like you, about creating immersive spaces, because I feel like there's something extra that happens when we witness each other heal, right? And when we witness each other going through things. So Edgar's agreed to, as everybody who comes on the show, to share this moment of their AuraPic. And I'll just basically be drawing here and telling you bits and pieces of what I'm getting as I'm drawing it in. But I also want to ask you another question, right? Can you talk to me about, I've learned so much from you about, oh, yes, okay. So I have a really good friend who goes on Instagram by Avatar Perform, who uses this idea of deprogramming male TM and female TM, like the trademark male indoctrination, which happens in advertising and media, all these things you were saying. And they see it as a program that sort of needs to be cleared so that another program can kind of enter. Again, I see that as a healing proposition as well. For myself, I've found that it's much easier for me to authentically channel spirit and hold space for others if I am as aligned with my true self as possible. And that true self is neither male nor female, neither masc nor femme, is existing somewhere within this space. And I've fought tooth and nail my whole life to be the person that I am with all of the complexities that I have. So can you talk to us a little bit about your experience of gender, both in your own experience, in your art experience, but then also cosmically, spiritually, in the universe at large?
Thank you so much for sharing what you just shared. I am so grateful to be in this space, to be here with you and to receive you in your divine presence as you're showing up. Yeah, I think that to me has been a big part of my healing, is to allow myself to show up as I am, to embrace myself in all my beautiful permutations, and to offer that to other people. So I also had to do a lot of deprogramming or re-examining of what gender means for me. And it wasn't until I would say, yeah, like a few years ago that I finally felt like the freedom to say, oh, I can not decide what gender I am. I can allow myself to be. And yeah, thank Goddess for the internet and for connecting so many of us beautiful gender expansive angels together. And yeah, and I think also for helping us relearn and re-understand that so many of our sacred ancestors have existed across time, and that we're a part of a beautiful lineage, a sacred lineage of people who've existed in every culture and have been honored and have been brought into sacred spaces of ceremony and sacred spaces of worship, and have been central in communities and have healed and been the beings that have held community together. And so knowing that we have a sacred role, knowing that we are precious, that's been so healing to some of these colonialist narratives that I feel were indoctrinated into myself. Yeah, and I think one of the things I've been excited about is meeting other folks who are Indigenous and who are also gender expansive, two-spirit, or and being able to understand that there is like a deeper lineage beyond colonization that we're really connecting with.
Because there's, just listening to what you're saying, our ancestors have been keepers of flames and spaces and hearts. I'm seeing Vesta and the Vestal, the Vestal keepers, the ones who tend those flames.
Yeah.
And how in a lot of cultures, the people who were able to exist between worlds were given the keys to the temple and told to keep it, right? Not we do, right? There's a privilege, right? That's involved there that was reprogrammed or deprogrammed through colonialization and all these things. And there's this beautiful convergence and reawakening. Speaking of, found out after we got this house and came in that not 500 feet away is where Candy Darling is buried.
Oh my goddess.
So talking about ancestors.
Oh wow, yeah. I just
keepers
got
of
chills. I'm just like...
So she yeah. So I aspire, I hope to be a transmitter for her essence, to walk in her footsteps and to share, through sharing with you and through sharing with everybody watching, just that grace. She was such a fountain of inspiration for so many beings, as so many of us are. And I'm reminded to just remind everybody what you said in this other post here, which is that no matter where you are, no matter what you're going through, no matter where you've come from, no matter where you think you're going or where you think you're not going, your very existence is medicine for someone. Someone needs you. Not playing some other role, right? It's fine if you are, but someone needs you exactly as you are in ways that, you know, we can't even imagine. Because I just always say, if you think you love yourself enough, if you think you figured your whole self out and you know everything about yourself, you're kidding yourself, and maybe you're being a little lazy, right? Like, just rub those sticks together and find something new to light up and love, because it's always there. And I think it's what's so beautiful in talking to you and hearing about your practices, that can come from therapy, that can come from art, that can come from plant medicine. Oh, and you're teaching a workshop coming up soon, which is on the, I'm just looking for the date of it. It's November 8th, 2020, Spontaneous Communion, Introduction to Tactical Plant Magic and Quarter Moon Ceremony. And you're doing this through UCLA, correct?
Yeah, I'm working with some UCLA students, but this is through my own Our Sacred Web practice. But I'm collaborating with some UCLA students who inspired the theme that we're working with, and who will be getting inspired by this ceremony for some art that they will be making in collaboration with myself this year.
So what I took away from this in discussing this with you and finding it is just that it's this opportunity where, you know, you have insight to offer into, you know, let's say you have a profound cypress tree or something in your backyard, or, you know, a beautiful cactus that sits at the end of the street. This kind of workshop would maybe give you an awareness of how to approach the consciousness of one of these beings and understand their medicine and understand their wisdom, and basically cross a couple lines, right? Merge your flows together. Yes. So that you, the human, leave with some of this essential plant wisdom as a part of your direct experience now. Is that fair to say?
Yes, exactly. Yes. Yeah, and exploring the many, many ways that you can do that, and really opening up that, yeah.
I would just say to everyone, check it out. I'm going to post this on in my, you know, Instagram links at EdibleSpirit, so that you can find out about this, because it seems like it's going to be a really powerful workshop that, you know, going back to also what you were talking about, Edgar, with ways of expressing, you know, anger or dealing with anxiety or fear that's coming up, right? Our sacred plant teachers, our ancestors in spirit, our guides and angels are around us all the time. But if we click into a pacing that is not in alignment with who we are and who they are, it becomes very easy to miss all of the sacred exchange and offering that's occurring between us at all times. So,
right.
I just love that so much of your work really seems to be, you know, not only creating the space, but also facilitating the journey, right, through these portals and through these ceremonies and through these spaces, immersive or digital or whatever they are. And I just want to remind everybody too, like, ritual and narrative, right? It doesn't have to have a beginning, middle, and end. We can create spherical narratives, spiral narratives. We can do that. It's challenging. It takes, you know, someone who understands narrative to be able to shoot the works like that. But there's something beautiful about ritual structure, which is powerful because it does have a beginning, middle, and end. It has an intention that's passed into it. So what's beautiful is that when you enter into the sacred space of a ritual or a portal or an artwork or whatever it is, you know that you're low-key going through a beginning, middle, and end, so that you don't have to follow that narrative, so that you can transcend space and time, open up into spherical existence, right? Calibrate your pacing along the lines of whatever intention has been introduced into this ritual space. And that can be setting a timer so that you sit with that tree or that cactus at the end of the road for 10 minutes and see what you freaking learn, right? That can be a ritual, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And, you know, and I think one of the things behind tactical magic also that inspires me to work with it is, you know, as you're naming, when you create ceremony, you create that structure, right? You create that space to be within. And there are moments when ceremony comes and meets you. When, you know, and I love that Candy Darling's been brought into this space, because she's one of the people that I felt as a young person really brought that spirit to me, where I just saw someone who was in that grace, in that embodied power, in, you know, channeling. And I ended up actually creating a performance piece where I channeled her as a young person. And it was definitely one of those moments where I didn't, I was a young witch, didn't really know what I was doing, didn't even know about witchcraft, but it's that moment where the ceremony kind of erupts through the screen, right? And comes and grabs you and says, hi, you are embodied in this moment. And so that to me is also what's exciting about tactical magic, is there are moments where you just are like, okay, all of a sudden the magic is here, and or it moves in a spherical fashion, as you were naming, which I love. Yes.
Beautiful, brilliant. Okay, well, I want to share this reading with you because
yes, please.
we were
oh
drawing this for everybody while we were just sitting here chatting. Hang on, I'm just going to get the mercury of it all to comply. And then here we go. So I love this because, I've always worked as more empathically and clairsentiently than clairvoyant. But I created this so that I could just go with what I was feeling, this format of AuraPics, so that I could just go with what I was feeling. Oh, hold on, we got to share this. Go with what I was feeling to just hear the colors and draw the colors in. So I wasn't thinking about this at all while drawing it. It was just channeled for you. And yet there's real consistency in this. You're getting the two main colors that have to do with knowledge in this practice. One is this blue indigo color that is clearly defining your aura. And this is thought of as the theoretical wisdom and the wisdom of the wisdom keepers, right? The wisdom of the teacher spirits. All those ascended beings who perfected some kernel of knowledge to the point that they are now transmitters of that knowledge on the highest planes, beaming it down to us here embodied on Earth, so as to remember what we had unlimited access to before we took form, right? That we still have unlimited access to. We just have to find our kind of way up or open up so that it can find its way in. So there's this brush that I like to use in this, and whenever it comes up, it implies some kind of structure as well. And so if you'll see on the right-hand side of the, are you predominantly right-handed or left-handed?
Right-handed.
Good. So on the right-handed side of it, there are structures of the wisdom teachings that have coalesced and that are taking a beautiful shape and form in the theoretical, right? In theory. The yellow color in here, this beautiful butter yellow, it typically, it's associated with the solar plexus. It's that Martian, Mars, fiery energy, but it also implies a learning through conflict, a learning through practice, as opposed to just a learning through theory and study. So how cool is that we're talking about Edgar is creating and channeling, but also academic? I mean, it's such a great example of I am leading with the structures of the wisdom that's moved through me while I am creating this spiral of other structures to literally poke holes in that, support it here, prop it up over there, deconstruct it over here. It's such a great example, I think, of that combination. But also because it's on your right side and the side that you're leading with, this tells us, my love, be prepared for crashes and collisions in the best possible way, right? This lets us know that you have created this shield around your aura that is leading with the wisdom that you've inherited, but that is also projecting the wisdom that you are discovering and creating and crafting in such a way that, as you said, people come for you in various places. I would not expect this to abate, right? I would expect this to be, put your shit kickers on, put those PDX shit kickers on and be in the trenches. And to me, what I love about this is it says that no matter how safe you are in whatever space you find yourself in, you, my love, are on the front lines. You are right there on the front lines. I think that's really part of this message. Now, this maroon sort of swirl that's happening right to your to the right of you as well, I'm sensing this as a combination of, yes, ancestral energy, but this is also a color that has to do with spirits and guides that is actually more of what we're seeing on the left-hand side. So you're surrounded by spirits, surrounded by ancestors, surrounded by guides. I associate this more fuchsia maroon color with angelic or archangelic frequencies, just because I was born baptized Greek Orthodox. That was the first sort of avenue into spiritual study that I had, was being like, the angels are in lots of different practices. They're not just kind of here. So that's why I say angelic structures. I would say these are high frequency divine entities and energies that are leading your way. So what I would say to you here is consider almost like a flavor of the month for yourself, where you allow whatever you're projecting into the universe to be passed through a tutelary deity or done in the name of someone, some entity, because it feels like they're here. It feels like you don't necessarily need to channel them, but it feels like they're leading the way for you. And it might actually, bring you a little bit. It's almost like you could do a clairvoyant reading with someone, but you could also pull one oracle card. And when you put the oracle card down, it focuses all the potentially infinite reads that you could be picking up off of someone into one very manageable card. It's totemic in a way, right? In the same way that the Mayan calendar has glyphs, right? That when you put these different glyphs together, they create a sort of meaning. I'm also seeing images of just like old computer games like Myst. Do you remember that game, Myst?
Yeah.
Right? Where it's like, you have a puzzle and you put those two puzzles in and that causes the door to open. This could potentially be done with divination that you do for yourself. This could also be done with a more sort of, like I said, like flavor of the month, where when the moon changes or when it's a new moon, you actually welcome in a new energy to just sort of let yourself lead with, so that you bring your whole self to the table all the time, but you allow it to be focused through some entity, energy, or something. And maybe you don't even have to share this with people. It's just to sort of know this is who's showing up for you for this period of time. Now, just to refer to the other side, this side over here, right? Again, those structures. This is a little bit more, do I need to even talk about this? Yeah, no, it's the same thing, except it's just that you're doing a wonderful job of really negotiating the energies that are coming into you and channeling through you. What my gut says here, just by way of offering healing, is to say, maybe if you focus a little more on what you're expressing, then you won't have to have so much critical assessment of what is coming into you. Do you see what I'm saying? Does that make sense at all? It's like, it almost feels like to take your artist's brain and your thinker's brain, or your artist consciousness and your thinker's consciousness, and let it be in front of you as a focal point, so that your channel and what you're receiving is just open and easy, so that you can use that more Virgo and energy of creating and crafting systems to really refine what's coming out of you, as opposed to having to question what's coming into you. That's what I'm feeling. Okay.
And
thank
you so much.
Of course. And then the final thing here, I think, is really interesting, because I would say this ties it all together. When red shows up in an AuraPic, it tends to be a high stakes moment, a high stakes situation that says, attend to this for physical healing, but also for that root chakra kind of support and structure, okay? So I would say here, pay attention to your right knee, right? Pay attention to the muscles of your IT band, of your quadriceps. This feels like a soul that wants to roll and use the foam roller, or use tennis balls and pressure points and trigger points. And yet also metaphysically, this is a center that is, you see it, it's almost right in your right hip point insertion. So these are the heavy muscles of forward locomotion. And they're trying to create structures, nurturing, vital, powerful structures that allow you to step forward with the determination and ferocity, because it's red. This is animal energy, right? To step forward with the ferocity that you have within you. And it just says to you, make sure, also because it's around the knee and the shins, it says, the knees in this practice have to do with changing ego structures, right? Ego structures that have changed. And it's interesting because when I first drew it, I was like, oh, I wonder what ego structure is ready to change. And it's almost like this is asking for a reckoning of how to deal with a relatively ego-less state, right? Or what to do if that's the goal, right? And it's like, that takes me back to this idea of a totemic tutelary deity that is leading the way with you, where you are that, thou art that. But maybe you don't feel like being Edgar today. Maybe you don't feel like being anybody today, but you have to get on a stream or you have to teach a class or you have to do something. Why can't you show up as, Quetzalcoatl, right? Why not? Who's to say that can't be the ego structure that you practice and embody during the day? So that's just more so the hypothetical of tying it back to this pink, the fuchsia that's kind of coming down off the front. But what this says is it says you have a blessedly and beautiful long road in front of you. And I feel that your energy has the endurance that it needs to make it as far as you need to go. This is a little more acute and immediate. That says, in order for you to lurch forward with determination, attend to the ego structures that have changed and are changing, attend to the heavy lifting that you have to do, and sort of prioritize that heavy lifting, and allow your ego structures to change around what you expect of yourself and what's expected of you, as opposed to feeling, it's so funny, I almost want to say to you, like, you don't have to be so authentic all the time. You can play and hide and wear masks way more often. And that will ultimately make all of us feel like we get even more of you, right? Mm. That's your
oracle. Wow. Wow. Thank you so much. I am receiving this. I'm so happy that this is recorded so I can come back to it over and over again. I feel like you've just channeled so much wisdom that resonates in so many different ways. Thank you so much. I received this with so much gratitude. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
So yes. So I'm checking to see, time flew by a little bit. I want to see if anybody's waiting for a reading. No, I think our room is clear. Let's just check on the YouTube beings and see what they have to say to us.
Bless the YouTube beings.
YouTube souls. Okay. So I think here what we're going to do then, Edgar, is just talk a little bit about, you have a couple workshops coming up. We talked about this one, and then you're teaching an Obsidian workshop as well, yes?
Yes, it's going to be a part of the Witches Confluence that's happening at the end of this month during the next full moon that we're going to be having during Samhain and also Halloween. So I'm so excited. Yeah. Yeah. So blessed to be able to come together with a whole lot of witches in the virtual realm. And I'm going to be offering a workshop where we connect with Obsidian, the medicine of Obsidian, the power and the magic of Obsidian. And I talk about working with it and bringing it into your practices.
That's fantastic. I did a session with someone the other day where Obsidian came up in the midst of it. And it came through with the wisdom of piercing through. It was in the context of the reparations readings that we've been doing. We've been offering readings as reparations for people, right? And it came through as Obsidian. Bring some Obsidian into your life to pierce through the delusions that colonial white supremacy has perpetuated on you and your power and your magic. Pierce through that shit. And whoa, it was super, super exciting. So I love the synchronicity of hearing about from you today.
Oh yeah, and that's such a powerful way of describing it. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. So I want to just finish, as we are here already at the end of our hour. I just want to finish with, would you share anything with us in this last segment that's called Yumminess? Anything utterly delicious and yummy from this plane. It doesn't have to be culinary, but something on this earth plane that makes you feel divine, something from the three dimensions that lifts you up and out.
So I brought a few things to share. I'm excited to share. The first one is this sacred yarn painting from my people. that shows a medicine person working with sacred fire. And also there's a portal. I love what's happening here.
I
Um,
know.
there's a portal in front of the fire in sacred Hikuri, Biote medicine. And so connecting with the energy and the medicine of my people has been really, really healing and delicious and transformative. And I also brought a couple of things. I love that you already brought in the sacred medicine of sweet potato. I feel like food and plants have been really healing, and orange energy, yellow energy has been really healing in my life. And I've been working a lot with those energies. And I also brought something that recently I've been eating a lot of, which is,
Oh,
can you see?
yeah, the kimchi. I see it.
Kimchi. Yeah, I'm like, oh my goodness.
Well, because those are living beings that collaborate with your
Yes.
gut.
Yes. Bless kimchi. I've been really connecting a lot with fermented foods and all kinds of kombucha, kimchi, sauerkraut. Really helping the microbiome system. And I also wanted to share that I've been, I think, connected to what you were naming of like connecting with the plant spirit or connecting with the deity every month. I'm a part of Sunsong Seer Labs, and Sunsong sends out flower essence every month to connect with throughout the month. And so I've been doing that work myself. This is one that she recently sent out, that's Bougainvillea, that has been so healing on my heart and also been allowing me to really process a lot. So that's definitely a way that I think I'm embodying that. And I'm so excited to start to really work with a deity and bring a deity into my ego and allow myself to be embodied even more.
Now and project through it. I love it so much. And what I want to say, I would love to come up with something cute about this, but I really have to say I'm fully the yummiest thing I've experienced this week is this time that we've just got to share together, because I sometimes can't believe that you're here, that you're here on this plane and that you're doing what you do. And even just the way you've described these last things, I'm going to bring that to my eating practice. And my love, I have a robust and committed eating practice. But I want to just remind everybody that slowing down, and definitely check out Edgar's workshop about the tactical plant magic, because slowing down and pausing to commune with what you're eating, and to, I originally, a while ago, I wanted to write a cookbook that was all about, instead of being organized by appetizers, entrees, desserts, the whole thing's organized by feelings, right? And how you actually want to feel and how you want the thing to make you. And obviously color was going to play a big part of that. So let's just go back to that. I will, if I'm going to give you something yumminess, it was that first night curry that was made here with all the turmeric and sweet potato and squash and parsnips.
And Chipotle.
root vegetables that were so nourishing and grounding and sweetening. And I had to commune with these babies in a very different way because I didn't have my, French culinary knives with me, so.
And that to me is tactical magic, is working with what you have in the moment,
100%. So I'm really, really grateful for just how inspired you've made me of how excited I am to check my pace, slow down a little bit, stay present, and merge with these different consciousnesses. Because I think a lot of us forget, when we get too much into our heads or out of our bodies, that everything is vibration, and that we are vibration, and that when we approach all beings as living vibrations, our vibrations can blend and harmonize, and there is a transference. There is a, yes. and if you're really lucky, there's a transmutation where something changes and something is released and cleared, and something is evolved and illuminated and lifted up. So, see, I just got so excited with it. But I feel what you've really communicated for me today. Thank you so much, because I feel that space in my guts that is ready to be present with what is and create tactical magic and work from there. So thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
And thank you to everyone who's tuned in tonight for this episode of the Edible Spirit Hour. You can find more. I'm going to put tons of links for Edgar, but your website's Edgar Fabián Frías, right? .com?
.org.
.org. Okay, .org. Fantastic. But you got to check out Edgar on Instagram. Check out the course that's coming up. I intend to check out the Witches Confluence. That sounds very exciting. If you want readings or sessions or to communicate, you can reach out to us. We are here. We are, present. And thank you all for tuning in. You're so delicious. Thank you, Edgar.
Thank you so much. I'm so blessed by you. Thank you. I'm so honored to receive a reading from you, and I am so grateful that the community can receive your readings and your sacred offerings, and also this sacred offering that you are co-creating here with us as well, and that I can just so grateful that we're able to share in this space together. So yeah, and it's also so nice to connect with you. I think being such a fan of yours and being able to finally be able to connect in this way. And I hope it's the beginning of more and more connections.
It absolutely is. I'm so grateful to you for coming through and doing this in this digital way. And, I can't wait to hug you IRL. It's going to feel really nice.
Yeah.
I can just about guarantee that you're a great hugger.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you for being here, Edgar. We are going to give ourselves a little bit of an outro. Thank you. We'll see you all next time. The Edible Spirit Hour. Okay.